and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone does not remain in me, he is like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me, and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish, and it will be given you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. This is Jesus talking, guys. He says, I am the vine. You are the branches. How many of you have ever messed with a grapevine before? They're crazy. They root and grow, and all these things just start going crazy. And you got to put wire up and fence, and you got to keep those runners going straight. They're about as bad as strawberry plants. They go everywhere. Those runners are just, and they're interlocking, and then these big, beautiful berries start forming. We had them when I was a kid. Purple grapes. Boy, they went crazy. Picture that with Jesus saying, I'm the vine. You all, me, we're the branches. Now what do branches do? They grow, don't they? And they reach. And they wrap around anything they can get close to. And they grow, and they grow, and they grow. I got some wild grass in my flower garden. It gets about yay big, and then flowers comes out. Oh, it's beautiful. And I went out yesterday and started cleaning. Those beautiful plants last summer are withered to bushes of straw about 18 inches high in this big round. And I took my hand and I wrapped around them and I pulled. And underneath all this dead grass was brand new shoots coming up for this year. See, that's what Jesus says here. If we remain in him, we're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to reach people. We're going to wrap around things, and then we're going to bear fruit. But if we pull away from him, we'll start to wither. And we'll start to die like that grass. And that's exactly what I did. I gathered it all up, took it back to my fire pit, and I burned it. Went up that quick. It was dead. It no longer had any purpose. Except it protected my new shoots for this year. Notice a word here. Jesus uses this word much. Much fruit. Much fruit. Jesus is not talking about an occasional good deed. He's talking about a lifestyle change. A lifestyle which promotes people to glorify God. He challenges us to bring forth fruit. New fruit that is fresh and sweet and can grow into being a disciple. Just as we strive to be. By doing God's will, we are in his will. By lifting those up around us, we are in his will. By doing the do, so to speak, we're doing God's will. Let me tell you a story. This week I had a call at work that really surprised me. It was a fellow pastor I went to, used to be in his church. And he says, I'm going to be in Fort Wayne. Would you mind if I stopped and called on Carolyn and David? I said, no. Why would I mind? He goes, well, you know, at one time they attended my church, and I don't want you to think I'm trying to steal them back. I said, is that what you think I did? Stole them from you? He goes, no, I don't. He said, they left because we weren't making disciples. They left because there was no fruit. They left because nothing was growing, nothing was changing. And he called his church the chosen frozen, or the frozen chosen. That's what he called his church. We're froze. And he goes, I don't want to call on them, though, unless it's okay with you. What do you say? I said, I would encourage you to stop and see them. And I would encourage you to pray with them. Because it doesn't matter if we're the Alvordton UB, the Bridgewater Community Church, Life-Changing Realities in Edgerton, Christ Community. It doesn't matter what the name of our church is. We have all been called to be disciples. We have all been called to help out. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. We've all been called to do the same thing. Heavens no, stop, pray with them, encourage them. Please. I'm at work, you're not, please be there. At first I was a little upset that he would think he had to do that. But after he explained the situation, I respected why he did it. And I could honor that. The cost of being a disciple, guys, we must understand that anything we do in this life, any words we speak, any actions we might have, has a cost. And the cost may be great. It may be small. But never forget, there's always a cost to us. The first cost we have is that Jesus must come first. Before anything else. This might be your family. Jesus must come first. This might be a relationship you're in. Jesus must come first. Anything that we feel we do is wonderful as long as Christ comes first. Secondly, we must be willing to suffer for Christ. Trying to live godly lives in an ungodly world, we may find that following Christ sometimes involves ridicule and persecution. You might be made fun of. I worked at a factory in Stryker called Faro, and I drove forklift, and I had a nickname there. Everybody called me Moses. Here comes Moses. We got saved, bud. It's just the way it was. Well, let me tell you a story. There was a big guy worked there. His name was Scott Carlin. He wouldn't mind. I used to pick on Scotty a lot. He was a NCAA wrestler. Won 2 divisions in the heavyweight class. He was about 2 inches taller than me and made about 3 of me. And one day I told him he couldn't turn me upside down and put me in a trash can. Guess what? He did. Grabbed me right by my belt and over I went. Scotty wasn't saved. He wanted nothing to do with churches. And I had a good friend that had passed away. One morning I took break we worked 3 to 3, okay? You worked 3 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon for 1 month, And then you switch to 3 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning for the next month. And we bounced back and forth like that for about 14 months. One morning I went in a little early and Scotty was in there and I was really bummed out, you know. Mildred had passed away. I was pretty upset about it. And I sat down and drank my chocolate milk and Scotty said to me, he goes, what's the matter? You're not yourself today. And I told him I had a good friend pass away. And he looked at me and he said, now wait a minute. If what you've been telling us is actually true, shouldn't you be happy? Why are you sad? He said, you got a good point, Scott. Isn't that our goals, to make it to heaven? To spend time with Jesus? When a loved one dies and we know they're saved, sure we're going to miss them. Sure we're going to be lonely without them. But shouldn't a little part of us be happy that they made it? Scotty's a pastor today. A church that runs about 1,000 people. And I see him once a week or so. He's changed his whole life. He'd be the first one to say, Yo, Moses! Being a disciple has a cost. We got to be willing to suffer when folks make fun of us. And how do we act when that happens? Do we go home and kick the dog and cry the blues? Or do we be happy? Thank you. Man, they call me Moses. I go, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What an honor to be called such a powerful man in the Bible. Now, they didn't understand that. They was making fun. I loved it. Thank you. Thank you. We must be willing to spend time promoting the cause of Christ in positive ways. Helping folks. Sharing with folks. Praying with folks. Holding someone's hand when they're sitting in a hospital. It is all worth it, guys. It's all worth it. God has promised us a home with Him, hasn't He? And He has asked us to simply, while He gives us the time to be on this earth, to share His good words with others. It's not hard. It's not hard. We make it hard. And it's not. It's quick to find fault with somebody, isn't it? But it's hard to find the good in somebody. And that's what we need to almost rewind our brains into thinking good about people instead of thinking bad. But that's what we've been called to do. To share the good news. Now, will we get taken advantage of? Probably. Just like Michael yesterday, had a wonderful story. My heart was right, getting him what he needed. That's what God looks at. Maybe it was a scam, I don't know. How do we know? But what He looks at is our hearts. And I find it real hard, guys, to find tears fake. When somebody's holding your hand and bawling and praying with you, I think they're usually pretty serious. I think they're pretty serious. So what do? Where do we go from here? We've covered a lot of things tonight. The Army doesn't give you a choice. God does. Are you willing to be drafted to be a disciple? You think about that this week, okay? Pray about it.